Tonight was fun for a lot of reasons. They played extremely hard, even at the beginning when shots weren't going and we were having some turnovers. They were playing extremely hard, and so there were no concerns there. We didn't challenge a couple of shots, so at that first time out, that was the biggest concern. But these guys were ready to go, and if they're not ready to go, then it shows up in effort, it shows up in your running ability, it shows up in lackadaisical travels and things like that. We didn't have any of that. So they were ready to play. It was just a matter of time because we were getting so many second chance opportunities. But the thing that was fun about this is we had to find a way to get the pace going our way. And they came in with a mindset and a game plan, and that game plan was to be deliberate at times. The biggest thing we were worried about with Coppin State was their ability to create dribble penetration. They were fourth in the country with 3-point attempts at 27 a game, and they were in the top 10 in the country at forcing turnovers at 22 a game. So we wanted to take care of the ball, but at the same time, we wanted to get the pace our way, and they made that hard for a while. And we did some different things defensively, and even though we brought some fatigue and deflections to the game, I think we had 36 at half, it still wasn't where we wanted it to be. The pressure changed that in the second half, and our guys did a great job with that. They did a great job right from the beginning with Vic, who ended up having 20 deflections tonight, which is a high for us at Indiana, and an individual high obviously for him, but also a high in our 4+ years here. And our guys just they were committed to competing. They really were. I mean, I don't think we called a lot of sets in the second half. It was very much a free flow game, which we've got to learn how to play. Because it won't be the last time that somebody tries to play a deliberate style. It won't be the last time that somebody wants to get it down into the shot clock. It won't be the last time until they want to get what they want, which is a one-on-one or get that open three. So I think we'll probably find some mistakes. I know we didn't challenge shots totally the way that we could have. We had a couple missed blockouts, and we ended up paying for it in some fouls. But we were aggressive. We were on the attack, played extremely hard and competitive, and had a lot of really good balance because of it. So I love the win. I loved watching them tonight. I really did. They were on it. I mean, they were locked in and they were on it.
Was that pressure and energy to start the second half? Was that something you talked to them at halftime, or was it just a
we actually walked through that at halftime. That's something that we had done in practice from time to time, but that's something that we think we're going to get pretty good at down the road, especially as we get deeper in the front line. And we decided to do it tonight. So we cleared out the hallway, and instead of going back to the gym and to the cook hall because it would take a little too long, walked through what we wanted to do. They were very alert and attentive. It was quick, and I said on the radio show, I apologize to some of those people that were in the store that had to walk out the other way, but we just wanted to make sure we knew what our shifts were going to be, and they went in and played hard. I mean, it was very much a free flow game. They were very much into the trapping and the rotating, and we wanted to get the pace going our way. And that's really what it boiled down to.
How do you accomplish all that in a hallway?
We just walked through. Smart guys. I mean, it wasn't like it was the first time they'd done it, but I mean, just from that little corner hallway. And that's what we did. I mean, everybody that wasn't in stood back. We just talked about shifts. It was more of a reminder, just kind of a focus-centered thing. But I mean, it doesn't make any difference. So we could have practiced for 2 hours. If they don't go out and work that hard, it isn't going to make a difference. And they went out and did it with energy. So, very aggressive. They like to play that way. And again, everybody asks me, well, how are you going to play everybody? Well, that's how we're going to play everybody. That's a quality of play versus quantity of minutes game tonight. And I think we got a lot of tired guys, and tired because they spent it. And I think that's what you want. And they truly brought fatigue to the game tonight, especially in the second half. Because Coppin State deserves credit. I mean, I thought we were playing really good defensively, and they just weren't turning it over. And when you shoot 27 threes, they were averaging 7 or 8. We held them to 5. I mean, some shots are going to go in. But it's when we don't challenge them. It's when we're late. Those are the things that need to be corrected. And we will. But when you're playing fast like that, you're going to make a few mistakes. You just hope that they're not ones that are going to cost you. You've got to make up for those mistakes with your effort and your energy.
I'm not sure how many deflections Will had, but he was also pretty active tonight.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Will creates a lot of havoc. Will tonight had 5, which I think he was complaining about. I think he's mad at the deflection giver in there. I did hear that. Did hear him complaining about that. You complains about a few things. He's usually right on something like that. But we had some 35-second shot clock violations and things like that. So we had great activity. There isn't one guy that I would say. I mean, even Maurice, who we challenged, who really wanted the challenge of being at the front of that, gets a steal right away. You know, that's good stuff. I mean, that's great because he's got to be able to play in that type of game for him to play quality minutes. And we've got to fight every game to make sure we're getting the pace where we want it so we can play those guys.
How much did Victor kind of spearhead all that in the first 6-8 minutes of the second half?
I wouldn't put it on one guy. No, I mean, I think it's a team thing. Yeah, I'm not into that. Victor had 20 deflections, and he's at the front of it. But Yogi did a great job. Christian did a great job. If you're pressing, it's not one guy. I mean, he got everybody's attention right away with the steal. But we're a defensive team. Victor's one of the better defenders, I think, in the country. But I don't think he's going to be alone when it all shakes out at the end of the year. I mean, I just think we got a lot of guys that are going to keep getting better, and we got a lot of guys that are committed to defense because they see what can be created from defense to turn into offense.
It's granted your point there. How many guys? 20 deflections sounds like the highest number I've heard you say in a while.
What's the highest here? Yeah, we had one higher at Marquette, but Dwayne Wade had 23 one night at Tulane.
But this is the highest ever since you've been
At Indiana, yeah.
How do you evaluate Christian Watford's play tonight? It seemed like he played pretty well defensively, but he struggled around the basket a couple times, just getting shots to fall.
He's not going to rain on my parade tonight. You know what I mean? I mean, the kid's playing fine. Okay, he's playing fine. He's playing really hard. Why don't you ask me about how good he was in the press? Okay, he was really good in the press. He was really good. He was really up front. And did he get shots at the basket? He got shots at the basket, right? And I just said earlier on, I knew we were playing hard and we were competing and we doing. Those are good things, okay? Those are good things. I'm not in any mindset to pick apart anything in a negative way, okay? And I'll do that in the film. But right now, I thought our team, it was an excellent team victory because they got the pace going their way.
Can you just talk about Remy's confidence this year? I mean, he seems a lot more confident just getting the ball, shooting it.
Well, he's growing up. He's worked very hard. He's worked very, very hard. And he's becoming a 365-day-a-year guy. He's not quite there, okay? He's not quite there. He's not in the Will, Victor, Jordan class just yet of sometimes twice a day inside of those 360. And when I mean 365, I mean that literally. I mean, those guys go at it. And whether it's day offs, all those type of things. But Remy's getting really close to that, and I think that'll continue to go because he's practicing well, but it's got to be so much more than practice. You've got to be able to do so much more and get those reps and get him at game speed and game tempo, and he's doing that. But he's a confident player with a lot of room to grow. I mean, a lot of room to get better defensively, a lot of room to push the pace even more, you know, when he's at the point. But he's growing confidently, there's no question, and I think that will help his game grow exponentially as we go.
Your thoughts on Jeff Howard getting the crowd chant treatment?
You know, that was nice. Good for him. Like to see him make those free throws, though. He almost had a career high of 9 in about 10 seconds. He made his free throws and made that last layup. But he works hard. He works hard. I'd like to get those guys in a little bit earlier, but yeah, in the game like this, too, we're trying to do some things. You know, we're changing defenses at the end. And if we're asking them to play 40 minutes, I'm sure going to coach for 40 minutes, and we're going to try to game plan and scheme for 40 minutes too.
What's your just general evaluation of how you guys did just against their zone? Basically, what do you think you did?
Well, I thought we got. I think it's 3 things. Number 1, we weren't pushing the pace like we should have early. Number 2, because of that, we ended up running sets. And number 3, we made some adjustments. It was harder to get it out of the corner. We like to play out of the corner. They were doing a really good job of closing at the corner, okay? So then we needed to do a better job of getting in the middle. We weren't as good at that as we could be. We didn't hit the middle early enough. We didn't look opposite enough. And we got I wouldn't say stagnant, but we weren't on the attack like we should be. That's a big area of improvement for us. But, I mean, it wasn't bad because we stopped really running sets for the most part in the second half and just really tried to play more out of the high post. But again, like I told him, you got a smart team, which we have, you can make those adjustments. But there's a lot of room for improvement for us in that. And I think the biggest thing we've got to do is ball screen the zone more.
Does this become a big teaching game then just because, do you expect to see a lot of zone when guys try to keep the ball out of Cody's?
Sure, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the beauties of these 8 games. We've seen a lot of different things already. And Jordan and Yogi have had to guard 6'8" guys from Georgetown. They've had to guard speed from North Carolina. They've had to do all these different things. Everybody, that's the beauty of a season. And every game is teaching moments. And there were a bunch tonight inside of the game, and there's certainly some at halftime. But again, your teaching is only as good as they're absorbing it. And they absorb pretty fast and well. We got a lot of smart guys. I mean, they really want to do well, and they're smart. And that really helps, because you can, I tried to tell them this today without going into talking too long on it, but like, when I think of my brother-in-laws and the way they coach, and I think of the New England Patriots, and I think of the Green Bay Packers, and guys that are programs that you watch close, they don't make adjustments at halftime. Okay, halftime's too late. They make adjustments the next series. And we talked about that today. We've got to become that type of team. If we're just adjusting at halftime and making changes at halftime, that gets a little harder. When we can adjust on the fly from timeouts, maybe a possession, but especially at timeouts, that's where we've got to go. Because you can have the greatest game plan in the world, but there's going to be something that comes up different in that game, and you've got to adjust to it. And if you don't have a smart team, if you don't have a team that shares the basketball, if you don't have a team that will cover for one another, that gets really hard. And this team's learning how to do that.
I know you didn't want a downer, but can you just talk about the passing in the Majerus?
Sure, it's been a tough. Yeah, we heard that at halftime, and I was thinking of Charlie with Marquette. I mean, I got to spend a lot of time around Rick when he took that leave from Utah. Rick was one of those guys. I said this back when I first started coaching, and I was asked a question. I don't know if it was a Sporting News or somebody asked a question. You know, like what coach would you pay to see? And I said, or something like that. And I said, well, if I could go to anybody's practice, it would be Rick Majerus. And I never got to do that. I did get to spend some time around him in Milwaukee when he came back home to take care of his mom. And he said something one time that I've always used. He was on a show back there on a Sunday night, and he said, the last unconditional love you ever have is that of your mother. And his father had passed a long time ago, and he was taking care of his mom, and I never forget that. Always use that, you know, with our teams. But he was a brilliant coach. Steve is a great guy to talk to, because Steve went head-to-head with him when he was at Wyoming and he was at Utah. He did a lot of TV games back when we were at Marquette, and he never wanted anybody to know that he was giving me some tips and advice, but he was. You know, he was a guy I could call, and he would give me a couple of ideas, and it was good. He was a brilliant coach, and I know people back there. I mean, there was not any point in time that he couldn't have been mayor of Milwaukee or governor of Wisconsin. I'm not being facetious. I mean, he was that well loved. That staff that they had, I was honored to be able to be around that with Al McGuire for a year and a half, or Hank Raymond's while I was there my entire time, and then bits and pieces with Rick Majerus. And I feel I actually talked to Doc Rivers today, and this was way before this, and I can't imagine. I mean, that was one of his favorite people. I mean, one thing again that stood out to me was in Inside Sports magazine. I was just becoming a guy that was really interested in coaching. And there was a story in there, and they had Doc standing underneath the L somewhere in Chicago, and he had signed with Marquette, and he said, I was going to play wherever Rick Majerus was coaching. And I'll never forget that. You know, it's just little things like that that you just never forget. They impact you as a coach. The book Gene Wojciechowski did on him, My Life on a Napkin, was one of the best basketball leadership books I could have ever read. So I had not seen him a lot, you know, since he got back into coaching, and I've been in Indiana, but I always had great respect for him.
Anything else for Coach?
And Steve would be good to talk to. I mean, Steve went head-to-head against him.